What is going on, everybody? So, it's the holiday season, and one of my favorite things about the holiday season is watching trashy Christmas horror movies. And there's a lot of trashy Christmas horror movies that I've never seen before, and this is one that Shudder added recently that I saw a lot of people talking about online, and it seems like people's reactions are all over the place. People that really love this, there's people that are middle of the road about it, people that don't like it at all. So I figured I would jump in and talk about it myself. And the film I'm going to be talking about today is A Christmas Horror Story. A Christmas Horror Story is directed by Brett Sullivan, Stephen Hoban, and Grant Harvey. Christmas is supposed to be a time of joy, peace, and goodwill, but for some folks in the small town of Bailey Downs, it turns into something much less festive. So I'm a huge fan of anthology horror movies. I have been my entire life. I think it's so cool to watch a film where you get all these directive minds together to create these little pieces that can somehow form like a cohesive narrative with a through line. I always think it's a lot of fun to see those types of films, and that is what A Christmas Horror Story is. You have this town, Bailey Downs, and you have all of these stories that are taking place in there. You have the overarching plot of William Shatner as this radio show host. You have this family who's going to pick out a Christmas tree together. You have these kids that are investigating this series of murders that happened at this school campus. Another family that's road tripping together where the father is trying to get some money. And then you have the story of Santa in the North Pole where elves start to turn into zombies. And so you have all of these stories that are interlocked together as a horror anthology film, and what you get is something incredibly underwhelming. I did not like this movie at all. I thought it was really poorly executed. I thought that it had some fun ideas, but at the end of the day, it's way too bloated. Most of the segments aren't that good, and the one segment that is really great, they get away from it too frequently. It has this big third act reveal that's supposed to make you be like, oh my god, I can't believe they went there. But because they don't really focus on it enough during the film, it doesn't really pack any sort of punch whatsoever. And the issue that I have with this is, you look at a lot of horror anthology films, even look at something like Trick or Treat, where you're not necessarily getting like title cards before each segment, but the segments are split apart enough to where it's like, okay, here's one thing that's happening that we're going to watch, and then we'll jump to something else, and the stories may come together at one point, but it does so in a way that's so smooth and seamless and perfect. This jumps from segment to back again to where it's like where the editor was getting bored with the material and was like, I want to cut away to this one because I'm uninterested in what's going on anymore. And that really just goes to show just how underwhelming this material is. My favorite segment in the entire film was Santa Claus fighting off the zombie elves. It was really hilarious. It had that like homage to 80s corny slasher films that I really appreciate. You all know how much I appreciate that genre of filmmaking. The visual effects were pretty cool for the practical effect kills in that. The CGI Santa's castle that looks like something out of Game of Thrones was really horrible. Like, it looked terrible. But most of the other stories are really underwhelming. The story about the kids investigating the series of murders, I feel like what happened and how it ends up playing out is all really all over the place, and that whoever wrote that segment didn't really know what they wanted the punch to be. It just sort of ends. The family who is like going to visit their aunt, who Krampus ends up getting involved, kind of silly. Felt very much more like if the Hallmark Channel tried to make a Christmas horror movie. It's just really terrible dialogue, and Amy Forsyth was in the segment, who I really like, and she did give a good performance in that. I think that she's always really great in anything that she shows up in, but it wasn't enough to save the segment. I still thought that it was pretty underwhelming, and most of the segments in the film don't pay off. There's a segment of this couple who takes their son to get a Christmas tree. He ends up getting body swapped with a shapeshifter, which it's okay. The way that the shapeshifter looks, or the changeling or whatever, is pretty neat. None of these stories left any sort of mark, and then it's like they paid a bunch of money to get William Shatner to play this radio show host, but he really doesn't do anything but provide exposition and some comedic levity in moments, but it's not really all that great. A lot of it's really hokey and kind of stupid, and that was disappointing because, you pull talent like that, you think you're going to get something really impactful from from him, and it didn't really do much. And like I said, the third act has this twist reveal that it gives that was kind of cool. I'm like, oh, that's awesome that they went for it and they really tried something with that one. But it still wasn't enough to save the movie from being really underwhelming and mostly boring. And at an hour and 40 minutes, if you're going to make a film last that long, make it impactful. And this is just one that I would skip over. If you're looking for a fun holiday Christmas movie, watch Black Christmas or Krampus. They're way better. Both are just amazing horror movies. One's much more of a horror comedy, one's much more of a straightforward horror film, but they're so much better and you'll enjoy them more than this heaping pile of garbage. So have you seen A Christmas Horror Story? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you thought. I did not like this movie. I thought that most of it was really lazy, the screenwriting was really bad, and it's not one that I'll ever watch. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, it helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.